There's something special about second chances in the NFL. It's one thing to fall, it's another to get back up, face the scene of the crime, and try to flip the script. And that's exactly where Tariq Stevenson finds himself right now. The Chicago Bears cornerback is heading back to Washington, the very place where less than a year ago, a Hail Mary disaster unfolded right in front of him. A play that not only cost the Bears a win, but one that lived rent-free in Stevenson's mind, threatening to define his young career. But here's the thing, he's not running from it. He's walking right back into that stadium with his head high, his game elevated, and a clear message. That moment is not who he is. Now, if you've been following the Bears closely, you've probably noticed it too. Stevenson's play has taken a serious leap in recent weeks. And after opening up in interviews, one with The Athletic and another in a brutally honest sit-down with veteran safety Kevin Byard, it's become clear that Stevenson has been carrying that moment ever since it happened. The pain, the embarrassment, the criticism, he absorbed all of it, but he didn't let it break him. In fact, he used it as fuel. On Kevin Byard's podcast, Stevenson didn't shy away from the raw truth. He said something that stuck out. Just to see people try to define who I am off one play, one game, out of the other 30 I had, but at the end of the day, I got to take it. Honestly, I wear it. That's not who I am, but that's who I showed who I am. That's powerful stuff. Not making excuses, not pointing fingers, just owning the moment and accepting that, yeah, it was bad, but it doesn't have to be the end of the story. He even admitted that he watches the clip, not to torture himself, but to keep that memory fresh, to remember what not to do. He called it a selfish moment. And for those who saw the play, it's hard to argue. The Bears had the Commanders backed up. All they needed was one stop. Stevenson, instead of staying deep as the backline defender, turned his back to the play, started chirping at fans in the crowd, and abandoned his responsibility. Then, trying to make up for it, he sprinted back into the play and jumped to bat the ball, but ended up tipping it into the hands of Noah Brown for the game-winning touchdown. Just brutal. And in Stevenson's own words, maybe it was karma. But here's what separates good players from great ones. What they do after the fall. Tariq didn't spiral. He didn't check out. Instead, he's been slowly rebuilding his confidence, brick by brick. The truth is, last season that one play shook him. He even said he started playing scared. Not to make plays, but to avoid mistakes. That's not how you survive in this league. You need that swagger, that self-belief, especially at corner. And Stevenson, for a stretch, lost that. The aggression, the physicality, the edge. It was all muted after that night in Washington. He was walking on eggshells, and you could see it in his game. But this year, different story. The turnaround didn't happen overnight, but something definitely clicked. Maybe it was the off-season grind. Maybe it was the new coaching staff giving him a fresh start. Maybe it was just time. Whatever it was, Stevenson has been balling. With Jalen Johnson sidelined, the Bears needed someone to step up as their number one corner, and Tariq didn't flinch. He answered the call, and then some. Against Seattle, he snagged a diving interception off Geno Smith. He's been targeted a dozen times recently and only allowed 3 catches. That's elite-level production. And what makes this resurgence even more impressive is that it came after he got lit up by Detroit. That game was rough. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Jameson Williams, they were having their way with him. A younger, less mature Stevenson might have let that shake him again. But not this version. He bounced back. He locked in. He didn't let one bad game turn into a spiral. That's growth. It's the mental side of the game that's often overlooked. We get so caught up in stats and highlights, but confidence is everything, especially a cornerback. Tariq Stevenson has always had the tools, size, speed, length, physicality, you name it. But when the confidence dipped, the whole package fell apart. Now that he's believing in himself again, we're seeing the player the Bears hoped they were getting when they drafted him. And let's be real, he's always been that alpha type. Even in college, he played with a certain fire. After transferring from Georgia to Miami to prove he could be a starting corner, he brought that same chip on his shoulder to the NFL. He's not afraid to talk trash, get in receivers' faces, and bring energy to the defense. But with that edge comes responsibility. Early in his pro career, he flirted with crossing the line. Some late hits, poking opponents in the eye, personal fouls. It was getting to a point where the antics were starting to overshadow the talent. But this season, that's calmed down. He's found a balance. The edge is still there, but it's under control. And that's what the Bears need. A confident, locked-in corner who can play physical without drawing flags or hurting the team. It feels like he's starting to understand that more now. That it's not about proving something with every hit or every stare down. It's about doing your job, snap after snap, and letting the play speak for itself. What's even more telling is how people around the team are responding. Ben Johnson, the Bears' defensive coordinator, said that Stevenson's performance against the Raiders was the best game of his career so far. And not just because of one highlight, but because he was dominant from start to finish. Tight coverage, sound tackling, smart decisions. His Pro Football Focus grade was over 90. That's lockdown territory. And he followed that up with another strong performance. He's stacking good games, which is exactly what the Bears have been hoping to see. We've always known the skill was there. He's long, he's physical, he can run with almost anyone, and he's not afraid to hit. That's a rare combination. But the mental part, the consistency, the focus, that's what needed to come together. And now, finally, it's starting to click. So now here we are, back in Washington, the place where everything seemed to come undone. But this time, Tariq Stevenson isn't the same guy. He's not the rookie trying to prove he belongs. He's not rattled. He's not distracted. He's focused, playing smart football, and ready to make this game his redemption chapter. And he even said it himself, "I'm fixing to write the F out of this. I'm trying to write one of this year's bestsellers. And this might be the best chapter." That's a man who's not afraid of the moment anymore. And that's what you love to see. Because look, the clip from that Hail Mary, it's never going away. It's going to be replayed every time someone talks about miracle finishes or defensive breakdowns. But for Bears fans, that play doesn't have to be the final word. Not if Stevenson balls out this weekend. Not if he shows, once again, that he's grown, that he's matured, and that he's ready to be the kind of player who learns from the pain and gets better because of it. He doesn't need to make a highlight reel play. He doesn't need an interception or a game-saving pass breakup. He just needs to go out there and do his job, play with confidence, and keep showing that the guy we saw in that viral clip isn't the same guy we're seeing now. Because if he keeps trending in this direction, that Hail Mary might just become a footnote in a much bigger story. One about redemption, resilience, and becoming the corner the Bears always believed he could be. The return to Washington is more than just another game on the schedule for Tariq Stevenson. It's a mental test, an emotional checkpoint, and maybe even a symbolic closing of a chapter that's haunted him since last season. You can feel it in the way he talks about this matchup, the way he carries himself in practice, and the way teammates and coaches are describing his mindset. For most fans, that Hail Mary play is just a frustrating memory, one of many in a tough year for the Bears. But for Stevenson, it was the kind of moment that forces you to take a long look in the mirror. And that's exactly what he did. It's hard to explain just how much a single mistake can snowball in the NFL. This isn't college, where one play gets buried in a packed season with national storylines flying in every direction. In the pros, every error is magnified, dissected, replayed endlessly. And for a cornerback, one lapse can be the difference between winning and losing, and your name getting dragged across the internet. Stevenson didn't just give up a Hail Mary. He gave up one of the most demoralizing, avoidable touchdowns of the entire season. And worse, it came in a game the Bears desperately needed to win, one that could have changed the momentum of their year. What followed was a collapse, not just from the team, but in Stevenson's own play. His confidence took a massive hit. He admitted it himself. He was no longer playing to make plays. He was playing not to mess up. That's not football. That's fear. And when you play scared at this level, you're going to get exposed. It wasn't just the fans or the media that noticed. You could see in his body language, the hesitation at the line of scrimmage, the tentative breaks on the ball. He wasn't the same guy. But instead of fading into the background or becoming another cautionary tale, Stevenson started building himself back. Quietly, patiently. He didn't make any dramatic proclamations. He didn't go on social media to clap back at the critics. He put his head down and worked. And that effort is finally starting to show up where it matters most, on the field. Over the past few weeks, his game has reached another level. His technique is sharper. His reads are quicker. He's playing with the kind of confidence that only comes from going through something tough and surviving it. Against Seattle, that interception wasn't just a highlight for the stat sheet. It was a turning point. The kind of moment that says, I'm back. He trusted his eyes, broke on the throw with perfect timing, and made a diving grab that showed off his ball skills and his focus. That's the kind of play you only make when you're playing with clarity, not fear. And the timing couldn't be better. With Jalen Johnson dealing with injuries, the Bears have needed someone to take control of the secondary. That guy has been Tariq. And not just with splash plays, but with consistency. He's limiting separation. He's tackling with purpose. He's doing the little things that make a difference over 4 quarters. In the NFL, you don't just need stars. You need players you can trust. Stevenson is earning that trust again. Now, as he steps back into the stadium where everything unraveled, the big question is whether he can keep that same focus. Because it's easy to say next play mentality, but walking back into the exact place where your lowest moment happened, that takes a different kind of mental toughness. That takes emotional maturity. And it looks like Stevenson has grown in that department too. He talked about walking into the stadium with a smile and walking out with a bigger one. That's not bravado. That's redemption energy. That's someone who's not looking to erase the past, but to rewrite the narrative. He knows that play will never go away. He knows it'll be shown in highlight reels and blooper segments for years to come. But he's no longer afraid of it. He owns it. And now, he's ready to move on. That's what makes this week so fascinating. Because this isn't just about whether Stevenson can lock up a receiver or grab another interception. It's about whether he can control his emotions, stay composed, and prove to himself, more than anyone else, that he's not that guy anymore. That he's a better player, a smarter player, a more mature competitor. One of the keys to this game will be matchups. If Terry McLaurin ends up playing, that's the kind of test that can really show where Stevenson is at. McLaurin is tough, no doubt, but he's not the type of twitchy, explosive receiver that's given Stevenson problems in the past. He's more of a precise route runner and a possession guy. That actually plays into Stevenson's strengths. He's long, physical, and loves to jam receivers off the line. If Dennis Allen decides to let Tariq shadow McLaurin, that'll say everything you need to know about how much trust this coaching staff now has in him. That trust is hard-earned. The Bears don't just hand out assignments like that. They've watched Stevenson struggle, they've seen him respond, and now they're seeing him take control. And let's be honest, there's something poetic about the idea of Stevenson, who once blew a game by freelancing and losing focus, now being tasked with locking up an opponent's top weapon on the same field where it all fell apart. That's the stuff that defines a player's story. That's what makes this league so compelling. For Stevenson, this is bigger than a stat line. It's about making peace with the past, showing growth, and reminding everyone, including himself, that he belongs here. And that's not just about one game. It's about the journey since that night in Washington. The quiet nights watching film. The uncomfortable conversations in the film room. The reps in practice. The days when his confidence was shaky, but he showed up anyway. All of it has led to this moment. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are stirring through the NFL corridors this week, and they all seem to point to one name, Michael Thomas. The star wide receiver, whose career has been under the microscope in recent seasons, appears to be at the center of what could become the league's next big shakeup. At the heart of the chatter is none other than Kellen Moore, current head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, who was surprisingly candid when asked about Thomas's future. Let it be happy in the Bears. Moore reportedly exclaimed, a comment that has fans and insiders buzzing with speculation. Moore's words, seemingly casual, have ignited an avalanche of questions. Is Dallas truly ready to part ways with one of its most talented pass catchers, or was this just a coach's offhand remark meant to defuse tension? Either way, the timing is intriguing. Michael Thomas, whose health and production have been hot topics, could find a new home in Chicago, a city known for its passionate fan base and equally intense media scrutiny. If the Bears do indeed pursue Thomas, it would signal a bold move to bolster a receiving core that has struggled for consistency. Industry insiders are already weighing the potential fit. Chicago, with its young quarterback looking for reliable weapons, might be the perfect landing spot for a player of Thomas's caliber. On the flip side, Thomas's price tag, both financially and in terms of expectations, would make any trade a headline-grabbing event. Meanwhile, Moore's apparent blessing raises eyebrows. Was it genuine support, a strategic olive branch, or a subtle way of signaling to other teams that Dallas is open to negotiations? The ambiguity only fuels the rumor mill. As the NFL offseason marches on, fans will be watching every social media hint, every front office murmur, and every press conference for confirmation. One thing is certain. If Michael Thomas does find himself donning a Bears uniform, the ripple effects will be felt across the league. And with Kellen Moore's enigmatic endorsement now part of the narrative, the speculation isn't likely to die down anytime soon. Could this be the start of the biggest mid-season shakeup in recent memory, or just another storm in the NFL rumor mill? For now, all eyes remain on Thomas and Chicago. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.